Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like for you to stand with me as we render our pledge to our flag, followed by our invocation tonight. Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you bow with me, please? Dear gracious and heavenly Father, we come to you tonight as humbly as we know how, thanking you for sending your only Son, Jesus Christ, who gave his life so that we might experience salvation and have eternal life with you in heaven when it comes our time. Dear Lord, we ask that you be with us as we make decisions that affect the people of the city of Prattville, the city that we all love so dearly. Guide us and direct us. Bless every family that's represented here. In Jesus' name, amen. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Counselor Strickland? Here. Counselor Wood? Here. Counselor Brown? Here. Counselor Miller? Counselor Reniger?
Here.
Counselor Bowles?
Here.
Counselor Fank?
We'll call the meeting officially to order. The character trait of this month is determination. Proposing to accomplish right goals at the right time, regardless of the opposition. You may find that we're a little light here tonight. We're minus two of our representatives. Dr. Tom Miller, Counselor Miller, is a medical doctor, and he's on a medical mission trip to the Dominican Republic, and we pray Godspeed on Tom and his colleagues as they minister to the medical needs of the folks of the Dominican Republic. Counselor Fank was unable to be here with us tonight. He was called away on business, so he'll be out of state this week. Fellow counselors, by now you should have received the minutes from the council meeting of March the 20th, 2012. At this time, we'll entertain any amendments, additions, or deletions, or a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Councilor Bowes moves that we approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Strickland. Any further comments? All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? The minutes are approved. This time we'll open the floor up for comments from folks present on anything that's on our agenda this evening. Would anyone like to address the council on any item that's on our agenda this evening? Yes, sir. Come forward and identify yourself, name and address, please. I know who you are, but these other folks may not.
Andy Gustafson at 211 Sweetbriar Lane.
Good evening.
Good evening. I was not able to be at the last meeting, and so I've had to take it from certain people that were here as well as from the newspaper articles that have been out there. And I applaud the city for moving forward on the Overlook Park project. But one unforeseen consequence that I have heard about from several members of the community is that besides the land swap issue, is the movement of coyotes into the surrounding neighborhoods for feeding at night. So that's something that may need to be looked at for the residents that are affected nearby the project. The article in the Prattville Progress stated that the appraisals show that the value of the city surplus land and the land swap to be about $1,500 an acre, and the land from Councilor Bowles to be about $3,600. My question is, when were these appraisals approved by the council? And I have not seen them on the agenda for the last 3 months. And if not, if the council didn't pay for them, who did? And it may be in the best interest for the city, but it just looks highly suspicious if the same person that is paying all the legal fees is also part of the appraisal. So there are some questions there. And I just, you know, as we talked about things before, and you guys have talked about being more open, that everything be done on a upper thing. Let me go ahead and finish if you'd like. I would also ask the counselor who made the motion why you would make the motion on the floor regarding the land swap and then make statements in the paper, and I know the paper sometimes takes things out of context, that you would support it if the resolution passes both ethical and legal muster. It just gives the appearance that you're in favor of it before all the facts are in, and that the City Council may not be playing in a fair way. And the last thing on tonight's agenda is a resolution for the, sponsored by you, Councilor Brown, for the Attorney General's office to give an opinion on the land swap. However, several of the councilors have also made statements in the paper regarding the possible ethics involved. I might ask the council to make a request to the Ethics Commission regarding the land swap, as they have jurisdiction both over state and local officials. And even though this, obviously from what you were saying before, would not affect you in terms of financially, it may be one of those things where you could then open the doors and then everybody would have an opinion from both legal and the Ethics Commission, and then there's no questions.
Okay, which one of those questions do you want to address first? Councilor Bowes.
Okay, I paid for the survey because being up here, it's a sticky situation. And I didn't want anybody to come back and say I received something from the city. So I said, let me pay for everything. That way nobody can come back and say, well, you got something free from the city. Sure. I didn't use somebody I knew. I got the man that did the surveys. I asked him, who should I use? And he came up with the company out of Montgomery, because you can't use just any appraisal, because it is appraisal for property that's actually going to be used to open up a land. So it's not the same as a house. So it was just something, I never met him. I just wrote the check and said, get it, here it is. This is what we're trying to do, and get it done.
I understand.
Okay, so that, because the Ethics Commission told me when I was going through all of this, that we needed to make sure that we had the land appraised, and to make sure that there was more land given than being taken, and that there was more money being given than being taken. Those were the two things they told us to do. Now, we're going back to the AG to make sure that we're all good, because we do not want, in this political environment, to do something that's not good.
Sure.
So all we're trying to do is cover every single basis. And I do agree with you that on the ethics, that we need an opinion from them too, which is real easy. It's a phone call, and I've already made the phone calls, and all they got to do is write it out.
Right. And that's all I was just
yeah.
is having the information out there so that everybody knew.
That's right.
Though that the articles don't
yeah,
portray you guys in a bad light.
You know how it goes with the paper. He only talked to me one time, and never ever. I offered him to sit down and go over everything, and I never heard from the paper again. So that's just the way it rolls in politics.
I know that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now, which question you want to take next? Councilor Brown.
I am in support of the project if everything does go, you know, according to the opinions go in the way that we can do that. But we got conflicting information when we contacted the League of Municipalities. Different attorneys had different opinions, which is why we're asking for the AG's opinion on it. The Ethics Commission, I did speak with them, and they didn't have a problem with it. But again, until we can get a decisive, you know, definite answer, because each one was looking at it from a different viewpoint. So that's the reason that I support it if, you know, if it passes all the tests.
I think that's it.
Is that it?
That's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay. I will say this, just for your edification. I asked for a written Ethics Commission opinion in writing, and I asked that our city attorney request that. When I made that request through the mayor's office, he said, well, then we need to go ahead and just get an attorney general's opinion as well. So that's where we are. We're trying to cover all the bases before we proceed.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about any item on the agenda this evening? Okay, we will move into our mayor's report. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And if you'll have a little bit of indulgence with me tonight, I actually have a proclamation that I'd like to read and present.
Proceed.
It's about autism. And actually, but after this one, I have a couple other items I'd like to bring up before I actually get into my mayor's report. But anyway, as I move forward here is, whereas autism is a devastating, lifelong, and often incapacitating development disability resulting in significant impairment of an individual's ability to learn, develop healthy interactive relationships, and understand verbal, nonverbal communications, and whereas autism is the third most common development disability affecting more than 500,000 individuals nationwide, whereas autism is a result of neurological dysfunction directly affecting the function of the brain. Few members of the general public understand the complexity of this disorder, whereas although a cure for autism has not yet been found, persons with the disorder can be helped to reach their greatest potential through accurate early diagnosis and the resulting appropriate education and intervention, which are vital to the future growth and development of the individuals. Whereas support groups such as the River Region Autism Support Group and the Autism Society for Alabama have dedicated years of service in their ongoing efforts to advocate for the rights, humane treatment, and appropriate education for all persons with autism. Whereas these groups remain committed to the cause of education, of educating families, professionals, and the general public so they may be aware of and better understand the nature of this disability. Whereas autism in its complexity requires both increased research in order to find a cure and great recognition and understanding in order to ensure that individuals with autism living in our community, our state, and throughout our country are accurately diagnosed, effectively educated, and appropriately treated throughout the duration of their lives. Therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Jr., Mayor of Prattville, do hereby proclaim April 2012 as Autism Awareness Month. Prattville, Alabama, and urge all citizens to educate themselves on this disorder and to support these organizations which strive to help these affected by this disorder and to find a cure. This time I'd like to present this to Ms. Tilly Jones, and I think she has a small comment to bring along with it.
Yes, thank you so much. Now I'm going to stick to my written remarks if you don't mind. One of my sons is in the autism spectrum, and we've faced many challenges along the way, but with the help of many early interventions about which Mayor Gillespie alluded to, and plenty of support to get him where he's going today. My now 19-year-old son with Asperger's syndrome attends Birmingham Southern College on a partial scholarship. I'm kind of proud of that. It's been a long road getting him there, but we're thankful for the support of the wonderful schools and their support personnel from which we have benefited in the Prattville community. A wonderful community to help people with special needs, I have to add also. Good information and greater awareness within the education and local support communities goes a very long way in helping parents and their children overcome the many difficult challenges that they face on the way to building personal independence and success in living. So thank you, Mayor Gillespie, for emphasizing the importance of such awareness with this proclamation. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for sharing your life experiences with us, and hopefully through events like this, more people will understand and recognize and move forward in their lives.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, I have Mr. Michael Whaley, Battalion Commander Michael Whaley, come up. He has a guest also he wants to introduce.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address the council tonight. A couple of months ago, I was approached by the county commission and the county administrator and asked if I would be interested in sitting on an interview board and going through a search process for a new county EMA director. I would like to thank Fire Chief Terry Brown and the Mayor Gillespie here for allowing me to represent the city of Prattville in the search process for a new EMA director here for Autauga County. He is here tonight, and without any further delays, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. John Biddy, who is our new Autauga County EMA director. You want to say anything?
Well, I'll give myself 2 minutes. I have to do that or I'll talk all night. But I certainly appreciate it as a first, I guess, order of business after retiring from the Navy on the 1st of September to be offered such a unique position as the EMA director. And one thing I'd also like to appreciate the budget support that we got on the night that, I was actually hired because I know the budgets are tight and all that, but we can assure you that that money will be spent to better protect the folks in Prattville. One of the things I'll be focusing on is identifying any kind of capability gaps we have or could have for all threats and all hazards, and strive real hard to try to plug those gaps, whether we have money or not. There's a lot of threats out there other than tornadoes and storms, and that's what our focus is going to be. Continue to do what we're doing well now, but expand and make sure we're meeting all those other capability gaps. And I certainly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I want to say thank you. The EMA has done quite a bit for the city of Prattville. I know one of the last help that the EMA gave City of Prattville was actually our little speed trailers that has a electronic sign that shows your speed is 25 or in some cases 65 or whatever. But one of the big things about that new one is it's actually such a great tool versus our old style, because the old style did nothing more than show you what your speed was. This new one actually has a record of it, so they're able to download it, and we're actually building a base up for that, so we know when areas that we need to be going into and see where we have a problem. Because I know in some areas we've had some people complain, and after seeing the login, then it was not a true complaint like it had been explained. Other areas we've gone into, it was probably as big of a problem as they were explaining it. So EMA has done a lot for City of Prattville, and we do appreciate that. You got some big shoes to fill, but I'm certain you can do it. But thank you. One last thing, I have Miss Diane Stonehuber from Jackson Thornton. She wants to come down, and she has a small report for us. I think I told her she's got 30 seconds to give it in. Don't know if she can do that or not, but
it's about 77 pages. So I was going to start on page 1. That's okay?
That's fine with me.
Thank you. Counselors, I believe you have a copy of the audited financial statement for the fiscal year ended September 30, 2011 at your place. I'm going to give you a brief introduction of the financial statements and just briefly overview operations, a little more than 30 seconds. But basically, your comprehensive annual financial report includes 3 sections. There's an introductory section, financial section, and statistical section. The introductory section includes a transmittal letter to the citizens from Mayor Gillespie and from the interim finance director, Doug Mosley, followed by the financial section, which is your management discussion and analysis, which is a narrative of the financial statement, the basic financial statements, and the independent auditor's report. And then the statistical section includes selected financial and demographic information presented on a multi-year basis. I'm just going to comment on the statistical section. This is the first time that the city's financial statement has included this comprehensive data. As in, this was the first full year that the first full year under audit that the city had a full-time CPA on staff or had a CPA on staff at all. And this allowed Jackson Thornton the opportunity to introduce the city to participating in the Government Finance Officer Association Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting Program. That's a mouthful. We have made application for the Certificate of Financial Excellence. It will take several months before we get a response, but this is the first time that the city has made such application. In doing that, it's a very comprehensive process and includes compiling this historical, financial, and demographic information which you now have available to you. It promotes greater transparency to your citizens and also meets the Mayor and Finance Committee's objectives of full disclosure. I commend the mayor and staff and department heads for undertaking this comprehensive endeavor. I think it will greatly improve your reporting package. I'm hopeful it'll make your financial statement, maybe you'll carry it with you because it becomes a live document when you've got all this comparative data. I've been really excited about the inclusion of this data, and we are very happy to have had the opportunity to invest in the future of our community by improving the community's financial report. Okay, briefly overviewing your operations for the fiscal year ended 2011. On page 1, following the transmittal letter, you'll find on page 1 our independent auditor's report. The auditor's report states that we have audited the financial statements that collectively comprise the city's basic financial statements. The financial statements are the responsibility of city's management, and our responsibility as auditors is to express our opinions on the financial statements based on our audit. The third paragraph of the auditor's opinion basically states that in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the city at September 30, 2011, and the respective changes in financial position for the year then ended in conformity with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. Our audit opinion is dated March 26, 2012. Page 14, I'm going to hit just some highlights. Page 14 is your statement of net assets, which is a comprehensive picture of the city's finances related to all activities. It includes all assets and all liabilities. Total assets at September 30, 2011, $56,807,992. Total liabilities, $65,292,702. That's a deficit net assets of $8,484,710. While we still have a deficit net asset position, our net assets actually increased $8.7 million over the prior year. So the city has moved from a deficit net asset of $17 million to a deficit net asset of $8.7 million. This increase in net assets is attributed to revenues exceeding expenses, which included $5.3 million of donated infrastructure assets to the city. That's basically not liquid. That's improvements in the city that have been donated, and it's counted as revenue. However, we also include revenue increases, which also in the report shows revenue increases of $1 million due to sewer surcharge, and an increase in sales taxes of $2.6 million, of which $1.8 is due to the 1 cent. In addition, we had a decrease in operating expenses with personnel costs accounting for $1.5 million of decreased costs. These are very good signs. However, I do want to caution you, because like all Alabama cities, our city is also dependent on sales tax revenues to meet our obligations. And sales tax revenues comprise approximately 56% of our general fund revenues. So on page 14, you will note that there is debt listed under the liabilities, and there are several lines of debt, but the total of your debt and leases payable totals about $58.8 million. Page 40 should be one of your pages that you dog ear, as that gives you your annual debt service costs. While we have debt, we will be we have $58 million of debt, but we have annual debt service on the long-term debt with annual debt payments of approximately $5.3 million, and these are continuing over at least 5 years, and that only represents debt that we currently have on the books. Any new debt that's added, of course, will increase those debt requirements. The level of debt service that the city has, coupled with our dependency on sales tax revenues, warrants the council to continue to closely monitor its expenditures. Concluding on a high note, page 18 is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. This is basically your fund statement that measures current financial resources. On this page, under the general fund, our general fund revenues, $34,842,457. Total expenditures, $33,645,938. Other financing sources, $1.3 million, for a total increase in fund balance for the year ended September 30, 2011, $2,559,815. So our general fund has moved to a positive fund balance of $1,067,824 compared to deficit of $1,030,174 at the end of September 30, 2010. We do have page 16, if you look at your balance sheet, our unassigned portion of our fund balance, that's our positive reserve at the end of September was $550,000 compared to a deficit unreserved balance at the end of 2010 of $1,671,000. So we've had a significant turn in the increase in net assets, I think attributed to your attention to cost containment, and of course we've had implemented some revenues that increased the top line. The city report, financial statement reports the city has made financial progress. There are many challenges that remain in sight, but we have made positive results. Mayor, good job.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you, and I definitely need to commend all of the department heads for their participation in the project of developing the statistical data. It took a comprehensive number of hours, and specifically Lisa Thrash in her department and Doug Mosley in his department. They have worked many, many, many hours to provide this information to the citizens. Questions?
Comments more than anything else. First of all, thank you, Diane, for all of your hard work and that of your staff. The document that Diane's been referring to will be on our website this evening for you to digest. Take a lot of time. It's a big document. There's a lot of information. I will be calling a work session next Monday night, which is April the 9th, 6:30, right here in the council chambers. I encourage the council members to thoroughly digest this document and come forward with any questions that you might have pertaining to this document at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. One thing I do want to mention about the document that's going to be online, it will be in a new little format there because it's going to be in a searchable type format, so it'll be a lot easier to look things up. So I'm told. I'm still learning a lot of that area, but it should be a lot easier to look up for the dummies like me for the internet. But Ms. Diane did mention, about the department heads and the council and myself. And this has really been, I think we've all been working together on this. Without the employees, without the department heads, without the council, without the citizens, without everybody really pulling together on this, because we have weathered a storm to this point. We're still not completely out of the storm. We still have a lot of challenges there in front of us. I have stood up here over the last several months and have mentioned numerous times about the 2014 area, which is an area that for us to be taking over, we're going to be needing, we have a lot of challenges there. We have a lot of capital items that are going to be a challenge in the very near future, but I think that if we stay the course, continue to be very mindful of all of our expenses, and I know the department heads have. They have been given more information about numerous items, everything from fuel to cell phones to electricity, and they are minding the storefront. They know what's coming in. They know what's going out in their department. So I do want to thank them. And as mentioned also, without Doug Mosley and Lisa Thrash, a lot of this information would not even be available to the citizens and to ourselves. But I think you'll see that it's a lot of, I don't know if somebody can, I think it's a lot of good reading. So take your time, look it over, and I'll look forward to the work session on that. Further on in my report, just like to mention also that for some of the people who are a little on the techie side, we recently have turned on a web page. It's called Pinterest, and I've been informed that the city of Salisbury, South Australia, is monitoring and checking on our success in this portion of the world. So I think it's just, I guess, sort of neat that we have somebody on the other side of the world watching to see how we weather the economic storms over here, and also what our day-to-day life is like over here in Prattville, Alabama. And So I think it's just goes to show that we're definitely a global economy, no more the small little Mayberry town that I still think that we might be living in. I hate to say that I don't know if some of my report I need to continue on with. I'm going to leave some of this up to Miss Denise Brown. She has been turned over to our creative arts department as a liaison there, so I'm going to leave some of my report out on that one. But I do want to mention that during our last week, whenever spring break was around, most of the schools in this area were out for that break. And I did a little bit of a survey behind City Hall and up and down our creek area here. And I was very impressed with the number of people that were down there. There were umbrellas down there. There were people with kayaks, fishing, you name it. And I talked with one gentleman, because of the high fuel cost, he decided to have the staycation, as a lot of us have learned to know it as, instead of going down to Florida and having the vacation with the family. He brought him here. He brought his family right back here behind City Hall, and the day that I talked with him was the third day in a row that they had been there, which was Thursday, and they were coming back on Friday also for that. So it's people are starting to find our little gym right here behind us, and hope it continues that way, because we do have quite a gym back there that has been overlooked over the past, I guess, ever since Daniel Pratt left. But I think it's coming back around in a very good way. One other thing I do need to mention is that this coming weekend is going to be our softball opening weekend. It's 9 a.m. at Newton Park. Hope that everybody here can be there to kick that fun event off. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like some of our baseball and softball in this area. It's very good for as a family event, and I know I really do enjoy it. The last council meeting, I mentioned that our IT assessment report would be before the Finance Committee before this council meeting, and it was not able to be pulled together by then. But we will have that report. BWS, who was hired to do that assessment for that department, will be having a presentation to the to the Finance Committee on that in the very near future, before the next council meeting. I can definitely assure you on that. One other little item I do want to mention before I sit down is April 21st is going to be our Touch a Truck weekend. We have it over at Pratt Park on April the 21st. There's going to be a movie that evening, and also that weekend, just giving everybody a little bit of a heads up. Got a few weeks, but I don't want anybody to be caught off guard. But also we have Bark in the Park. So any of those that you can attend to, please do. I do know that we did have our Arts Festival weekend this weekend. It was a good turnout on it. Some figures that I got back on that was that we had about 5,000 people show up for it that weekend. I know my wife, she helped the economy, the local economy, because she bought several of the arts that were available out there that weekend. But besides that, I think it was a very great weekend, and I know Mr. Woods had an event up there. It was our North Highland Park weekend, and I understand, I know I saw numerous people up there, but I think he had a few hundred people up there also. So it looked, all in all, like a great weekend for the city of Prattville. The Creative Arts Department, also Leisure Services, did a great job with the weather that weekend. Couldn't have been any better. One other report I do want to talk briefly about also is about a mosquito spraying that we will be implementing in the very near future. The state has put a few more regulations on the city that we're having to get some licensing on, but we do expect those to start the mosquito spraying program earlier than we normally do. But as we all have seen, we've had a wetter and also a warmer March and also April so far, but we will be getting that moving along in the very near future. One last thing. First off, I wasn't going to say anything. I said, you know what? I just got to go ahead and throw some of these figures out here. Normally, Doug Mosley brings a report at the second council meeting of the month, but I'm going to go ahead and report our March sales tax receipts, which is they're deemed as March 2012, but is actually for the fiscal month of February. but we received $1,785,000 that month through sales taxes, with a rebate of $69,000, which netted us $1.7 million. With the sales tax, 1 penny sales tax extension in there, that actually showed a 30.15% increase over last year. If you take the 1 penny out, I hate to say that it actually was a 2.82% decrease. The other, well, actually some good news is that since January of 11, ending on April the 2nd of this year, our accounts payable and debt balances started off January 2011 at $65 million. As of April the 2nd, we were down to $53,723,000, which I guess I have to put a little clause in there. Those are unaudited numbers. I know the CPAs behind me would probably like to hear that little clause in there. But since then, anyway, since January, we have actually paid off $11,458,147.71. And actually, we have lowered our overall debt by 17.6%. So I think that might be one reason why that when you do see Diane Stonehill to be in a very good mood, that's probably the reason being there, is that I think we have grabbed the bull by the horns, we have reduced our debt, we have tightened our belt, and we're running a lot more efficient than we have in the past. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions of the mayor while we have him up here? Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mayor, I appreciate you speaking on the accounts payable and debt balance. I just want to ask one question to make sure that I'm correct on this. Accounts payable, that includes all vendors entirely. No one left out.
Yes, sir. It's vendors. Now, community initiatives are not under that header.
Okay.
But accounts payable, vendors are as of April the 2nd, $54,246. I think you guys have this. You guys were given this information. It will also be out on the city website as soon as this meeting is over, or tomorrow, one of the two. One other big item, if you have the figures right there in front of you, we actually at one point in time owed group health, it shows here $1.4 million, but I think it actually gotten up to approximately about $1.8 million, if memory serves me correctly. And as of April the 2nd, it's down to $335,000. So I think that we have made some really good strides here, and thanks to the department heads for tightening the belt. I know it makes Doug Mosley's job a lot easier when he has a positive cash flow. And whenever I've stood up here several times and have mentioned that the terminology cash flow is king should be paramount, and I'm thinking that we're starting to find that to be true. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the mayor while we've got him up here? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We'll get into committee reports from councilors. Councilor Striplin. No report. Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple items. First of all, let me follow up on the mayor. Speaking about North Highland Park Community Day, I want to thank everyone for their support this year. Very good event. Again, as I always said, the event ends with the proceeds going to something positive. So it went to the Oasis of Hope Foundation, and then we were able to give them $1,000 at the end of the day. So hopefully it'll go a long way to help them. Also, I really enjoyed the Arts Festival. I want to say that this year. To Dr. Stewart, multi-talented. Did not know she had all that talent. Knew she was talented, but it was fabulous. She was multi-talented. Also, Mr. Chair, on behalf of the Fire Committee, with Dr. Miller being chair, he has been emailed on a resolution that I'll be bringing from the floor along with Councilman Bowles. I believe you've got an email from Commander Whaley. I'm going to be asking that we move forward with this resolution from the floor tonight. It will require suspension of the rules since Dr. Miller is out of town and we don't know how long he will be out. But as we know, this concerns the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens concerning the ambulance. So at that particular time, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask that you all do suspend the rules if you'd all see fit. Thank you, sir.
Councilor Brown?
No report.
Councilor Bowes?
No report.
As I said before, we will have a work session Monday, April the 9th, 6:30 p.m. right here in the council chambers, specifically to go over any questions that the councilors might have on the comprehensive annual financial report that was proposed, or actually was given to us tonight by the folks at Jackson Thornton. We'll get into our agenda. The first item was held from our March 20th meeting. It's an ordinance to declare city property surplus. Is there any further questions or comments pertaining to this ordinance? Councilor Brown.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask that we postpone this indefinitely until we get definitive answers on it.
Okay, definitive answers from what body?
From the next resolution that I'll be presenting concerning it.
Okay. Councilor Brown has moved that we postpone this item indefinitely. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Striplin. Is there any discussion about this move to postpone? All those in favor of postponing this ordinance indefinitely signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, this ordinance is postponed indefinitely. Next item is a resolution to request Attorney General's opinion regarding declaring city property surplus and exchanging property with a sitting council member. Councilor Brown, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. Whereas on the 3rd day of April 2012, the citizens of the City of Prattville are requesting an Attorney General's opinion to determine if the city can declare city property surplus and exchange property of greater value with a sitting council member. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville hereby requests the Honorable Luther Strange, Attorney General for the State of Alabama, to give his opinion to whether the City of Prattville can surplus city property and exchange said property for a sitting council member's higher valued property. So moved.
Councilor Brown has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. Is there any discussion pertaining to this proposed resolution? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted. Next item is a resolution to name voting delegates and alternates for the Alabama League of Municipalities Convention in Birmingham. Councilor Wood, will you introduce this resolution, please?
Whereas the Alabama League of Municipalities will hold its annual convention in Birmingham, Alabama, May 19th, 22nd, 2012, and whereas each member city is entitled to one voting delegate and both first and second alternate voting delegates to represent their city, and whereas it is desired of the City of Prattville to name its delegates to ensure its voting participation at the annual convention business session, which will be held on May 21st, 2012 at 3:45 p.m. Be it therefore resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the following are hereby elected as voting delegate and first and second alternates. Council President Mike Reniger, voting delegate. Mayor Bill Gillespie Jr., first alternate. Blank, second alternate. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Councilor Wood has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Bowes. Is there any discussion on this proposed resolution? Councilor Bowes.
Who will be the second alternate?
No one has indicated that they are currently planning on going to this Alabama League of Municipalities Convention except for the mayor and myself. If there is another person or another member of the Prattville City Council that would like to go, then we can amend this to add that name. But as of today's date, no one else has indicated an interest in going to this particular function to represent the city. Any other questions? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like signs? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted. Next item is an ordinance to surplus one Clark Bobcat 721 from Urban Management Department. Councilor Striplin, will you introduce the ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Prattville, Alabama as follows, that the equipment listed below is hereby declared surplus of the Urban Management Department and is to be removed from the inventory of said department. Clark Bobcat 721, serial number 4966M14866. Be it further ordained that the City Council instructs the mayor to scrap said equipment and the proceeds be deposited into the general fund. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Striplin has moved this ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. By point of order, this ordinance must carry over to our next meeting before we can act on it, unless there's a move to suspend the rules.
Motion.
Councilor Bowes moves to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Striplin. Any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? All those in favor of suspending the rules, please raise your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the rules are suspended and this ordinance is properly before us. Is there any further comment about this particular proposed ordinance? All those in favor of adopting this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the ordinance is adopted. Next item is a resolution to set a public hearing to declare various wooded lots to be a public nuisance and ordering their abatement per Title 11, Chapter 67 of the Code of Alabama 1975 is amended. As part of her initiation, we're going to ask Councilor Brown to introduce this resolution.
Thank you. Whereas an abundance of overgrown grass or weeds is injurious to the public health, safety, and general welfare by providing a breeding ground and shelter for rats, mice, snakes, and mosquitoes and other vermin. 2, may cause the further spread of weeds. 3, may hide debris such as glass or metal that could inflict injury on a person going to such property. And 4, may also pose a fire hazard and respiratory hazard. And whereas Section 1167.1 of the Code of Alabama 1975 as amended permits the City Council of the City of Prattville to declare an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds to be a public nuisance. And whereas the Prattville Planning Department has inspected the properties at the following addresses and determined the existence of an abundance of overgrown grass and weeds. 108 Deborah Street, 1570 Hawthorne Lane, 1698 Hawthorne Lane, 209 J Street, 128 Lee Circle, 108 Overlook Drive, 145 Patrick Street, 925 Pigler Street, 167 Till Street, 188 Winchester Way, 192 Winchester Way, 224 Woodville Road, 617 Woodville Road. Now, therefore, be it resolved that 1, the City Council of the City of Prattville declares the abundance of overgrown grass and weeds at the above listed addresses to be a public nuisance, and 2, the owners of said property, as they appear in the records of the Autauga County or Elmore County Revenue Commissioners, are ordered to abate the abundance of overgrown grass and weeds, and 3, the owners of said property are ordered to appear before the City Council of the City of Prattville at a public hearing at 6 p.m. on May 1st, 2012 in Prattville City Hall. Notice of such hearing and a copy of this resolution shall be sent by certified mail to owners of said property. So moved.
Councilor Brown has moved this resolution. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilor Bowes. Is there any discussion on this resolution to set a public hearing? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none, the resolution is adopted. That exhausts our regular agenda, but I understand that Councilor Wood has an item to come from the floor. Councilor Wood?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whereas on November 8, 2011, the Prattville Fire Department lost use of ambulance number 21 due to a collision. And whereas the insurance proceeds were deposited into FY 2012 General Fund Reserve and recorded in the insurance proceeds revenue account. And whereas there is a need for one Dodge R3500 regular cab and chassis in the fire department to replace said ambulance. And whereas said vehicle is to be purchased through the State of Alabama Division of Purchasing Contract number T193A. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that the FY 2012 General Fund Reserve is hereby decreased by $36,500, and the FY 2012 budget line item Fire Department capital outlay is hereby increased to $36,500. Be it further resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in an amount not to exceed $36,500 for one Dodge R3500 regular cab and chassis are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Ben Atkinson Motors Incorporated, and said funds are hereby approved and appropriated from the FY 2012 budget line item Fire Department capital outlay. Mr. Chair, I so move.
Councilor Wood has moved this resolution for adoption. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Striplin. By point of order, this resolution will have to be carried over to our next regularly scheduled meeting unless there's a motion to suspend the rules.
So move.
Moved by Councilor Wood. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Brown. Is there any discussion on the proposal to suspend the rules? All those in favor of the motion to suspend the rules signify by raising your right hand. I see all hands raised. Any opposition by like sign? Seeing none. The rules are suspended and this item is properly before us. Is there any question or comment concerning this proposed resolution? Councilor Striplin.
Yes, sir. How much were the insurance proceeds that we received?
Mr. Striplin, we received $46,125 on that ambulance itself. It was a 07 model, the depreciation on it, and it was a remount, what we consider not a brand new one, but a refurb one.
Two other questions. The status with the ambulance contract with the county, this has absolutely nothing to do with that. So we are anticipating another new ambulance in the near future.
Yes, sir. We placed them out to bid. That will be coming in, I think, the 23rd on it. The deal we have is I had another ambulance go down. The ambulance has been nothing but a problem since it's been new. There's about a $5,000 repair bill on it that every time you turn around, it's a $5,000 repair bill on this unit, and I've placed it out of service. And it's got us down to 5, and that's critical for us. And hopefully just to get them moved and get one of them in here and get the fleet back up. So that's where we're at. There will be another, we're going to open up a bid for the remount. And I've called and got a general idea on a basic remount just to get us going that serves a purpose. It will come back before you. And the city at that time will have to place, $13,000 to $15,000 of its own money, basically, and you have a new ambulance that we do not have budgeted. I was trying to wait until the next budget year, but as it all works out, that never works out. I had an ambulance go down, so this will get us back in pretty good shape. Thank you.
Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've tried to do a little calculating, Chief, so I'm going to try to help you out because we know we kind of tight for money. It's my understanding on the remount, if it's $18,000 based on $46,125 from the insurance, the Dodge regular cab is $36,500. So we're talking about $96,225 we're going to have left from that in that capital account. So once you come back before us, if it's not any more than $18,000, we're looking at $83,750 that we're going to have to approve?
Well, we're missing 5,000 there. Mr. Wood is on the air ride system that has to go in it. We're going to let the provider of the remount, ever who it may be, provide that air ride system, and that's $4,000 to $5,000 on top of that $18,000. The provider on the truck suggested to go that route because I believe his product was going to be higher. Just told me to move with the remount. So you're really looking at adding to that.
So we're not talking about over $15,000, and still we got a new ambulance.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I hope that's where we're at when the bids come back. But yes, sir, $15,000, $65,000 value.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by raising your right hand. The opposition by like sign. The resolution is adopted. We will open the floor up for questions from the audience. Anyone here tonight that would like to address any item of business with their city council? Would anyone like to address any item of business tonight with the city council? Seeing none. Mayor, do you have any closing comments?
If you will indulge me one more time tonight.
You have really taken up a lot of time tonight.
I have.
But go right ahead.
I think I'm worth it.
You go right ahead.
Well, this is a proclamation for Civitan Awareness Month.
Y'all are keeping him out of trouble.
Yeah, they're trying to keep me out of trouble. But anyway, this is the Millbrook Prattville Civitan Club. And anyways, whereas Civitan International was founded in 1917 in Birmingham, Alabama, whereas the over 40,000 members and over 1,300 clubs worldwide work together to make their communities better places, where Civitan has contributed millions of dollars in volunteer hours to help people with development of disabilities, whereas club projects provide citizens with meaningful involvement in their communities, where Civitan promotes good citizenship and emphasizes its responsibilities, where Civitan is recognized for its support of research and treatment of development disabilities through its funding, the Civitan International Research Center, and whereas here in Prattville, the Prattville Civitan Club embodies the ideas of Civitan in our own community. Now, therefore, I, Bill Gillespie, Mayor of the City of Prattville, Alabama, do hereby designate the month of April 2012 as Civitan Awareness Month and encourage residents of Prattville to actively support and take pride in the worldwide efforts of this international service organization and the work of Civitans in our community. Just want to recognize them, and I know you're with the Civitan, aren't you?
Pardon me?
You're with the Civitan Club.
No, I'm a Rotarian.
Rotarian. I'm sorry.
Just like you, Mayor.
I thought you were multitasking there, so.
There's always room for more.
Always room for more?
Always room for more.
Well, thank you for coming down.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I do stand corrected. I knew you were in the Sunrisers, and I just thought that I assumed, and I apologize, and hope I didn't hurt any feelings. But only a last report I have, All the King's Women is April the 14th, 7:30. Please come out and support our arts. You know, it's I've been regularly going to them. I absolutely do enjoy each and every one of them. Very great family entertainment. This one is about All the King's Women, so I don't know exactly how family oriented it is. We'll have to find out about Kelly Cook and her event that night. But all the rest of them have been very, very good and entertaining and family oriented. So please come out, and hope to see each and every one of you guys there. Get on the city website or the poster that we have posted right outside to get the dates. But it's right over here at our Creative Arts Center. Thank you.
Councilor Striplin?
No, sir.
Councilor Wood?
No.
Councilor Brown?
I'd just like to congratulate Kelly on the successful Fountain City Arts Weekend, the dinner that I think all the councilors and the mayor that attended, we all thought it was a well-done event, and it was wonderful. And then the successful festival in the park that we had such a good attendance for, so you and your department are to be commended.
Councilor Bowles?
No, sir.
I, too, would like to commend the staff of the city for an outstanding job at the Arts Festival and also preparing North Highland Park for Councilman Wood's Day in the Park. Both were very successful. I attended all these events, as counselors should, and enjoyed each and every one of them. I see some familiar faces in the audience. I see some new faces in the audience. Everyone is welcome back to our next council meeting, which will be right here at City Hall, Tuesday, April the 17th, 2012, at 6 p.m. That being said, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Councilor Bowes has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Wood. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition by like sign? We are adjourned.